So, approximately what time today did the fire alarm go off?
It went off at about 11:12 this morning. We heard it was over in the theater that it went off because we heard it kind of through the phones before it started going off, and then everyone heard it, and of course we had to follow the evacuation procedures.
So it wasn't a drill?
No, it was not a drill. If it were a drill, then we would have had it canceled for the AP exams, but it was definitely not a drill.
So the first section of the AP test is multiple choice. So we finished that, and then we had a 10-minute break. And then the second portion of the test is free response. So we started that, and then the fire alarm started going off.
My initial reaction to the fire alarm is first off because it was in the middle of a class which I TA for, Drama 1, 4th period with Mr. Mean as the teacher in the drama room. I was kind of upset. I was like, oh man, I have to go out, we have to evacuate. I hate fire drills, this is really obnoxious, but I kind of get to miss the period, which doesn't affect me at all. But then, based off of the teacher, Mr. Mean's reaction of that it wasn't a drill, my instincts immediately went to follow protocol, being the TA in that class, which is make sure the kids get out, and then I do a quick sweep of, I look on the main stage, and I look out in the lobby, and I check to make sure that nobody else is on any of the stages. So we evacuated to the football field, and it was just another like, oh man, what's going on? Don't know anything at the time.
Okay, so what we would do is pretty much what we did do. So we, the coordinator and myself went over to where the testing was, and then what we did was secure the room and make sure that everybody left their exams on their tables. There's no way that any exam could leave the room.
The test proctor lady was like, oh, it's fine, it's just a drill, I'm sure. And then like 3 minutes later probably, we started hearing sirens because the fire engine came to the school, and so we're like, oh shoot, maybe the school is actually on fire right now, we should probably go check that out. So then she collected all of our pamphlets, and she said we couldn't talk at all, and so we quietly went out to the field.
The proctor, Mrs. Stearns, she made sure that everybody was there and made sure that everybody didn't have access to their backpacks or their cell phones, because that could alter the test. You're still not allowed to use those things. So everybody got up, lined up, we grabbed all of the exams, gathered them, and then left the exams in a closed room that was locked so that nobody had any way to access the exams while we were going to be leaving the room. The students were instructed to not talk about the test and not use their cell phones, not communicate about that, and then everyone went ahead and followed our school evacuation procedure, which is to go ahead and go out to the field and then line up with your 4th period class, and then at that time attendance was taken, and then once it was deemed necessary to dismiss everyone, everyone returned back to the gym to finish where they left off.
People definitely were talking about the test and what was going on, but I don't think people really talked about the answers, because everyone was just kind of in the moment. They weren't really worried about cheating, but I mean it definitely could have happened, and maybe I just wasn't aware of it.
So I was communicating with the proctor as soon as the alarm went off, because I knew as soon as it went off, this is something that could happen, and it's something that we're prepared for when it does happen. So as soon as it went off, she took the time that the alarm sounded, and then I took the time that the alarm ended and that we left the field. So we calculated the difference of those times, and were able to determine what time we had left, of course, because that shouldn't take away from the amount of time that you're given on the test. So we made sure we added that time back on to the time that was missed.
We just started where we left off, and then the alarms kept going on 4 more times. And then every time an alarm went on, she would just add more time onto our test.
To my current knowledge, the fire alarm went off initially, and when it said it was triggered in the office where it said that it came from, it was labeled as theater. However, the label theater corresponds to most of the entire Performing Arts Center building, except the drama room, the choir room, and the band room. Those all have their own separate codes. Basically, to my knowledge, Mr. Pinkerton and Lisa did a mostly full sweep of the entire Performing Arts Center and checked the fire alarms and the cases to try and see which area was actually affected. And to my knowledge, nothing was found to be positive with any carbon monoxide or any fire the Performing Arts Center wasn't any warmer than usual. The tech rooms aren't on fire or anything. Nothing was really on. There were some normal lights on and work lights, but nothing major. So we don't actually really know what it was. It was just kind of something set it off in the theater. And we've had this issue before, sometimes after school in like last month, I want to say. It's gone off a couple times. But that's when they're testing the system and they make the announcement that they're testing the system. And it commonly sets off the theater code, but today it was just we're not really sure, but as far to our knowledge, we looked everywhere and nothing really has come about from it yet.
So overall, how would you say your experience was?
I mean, it was fine. It was just a little like distracting at times. Other than that, it was pretty typical.
Okay.
Typical AP test.